Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Monday, July the 13th. The year's 2020. Let's talk trading. Chatting with Walmal. I've got Walmal on the line. He was away last week. How you doing there, Walmal?
I'm doing well. It's been a fun day of trading, and it's coming back and trying to get my head back around this trading game, because that's what it is. And so I made a mistake, but I've recovered from that mistake, and the day's been pretty good. So.
Yeah, so fellow traders, just remember these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal's. Trading is extremely risky. You can lose all of your money. If you need trading, investment, or financial advice, seek the advice of an accredited financial professional. And as you're trading, always have your risk management. Don't lose any more on any one particular trade than you're willing to lose. And brain management. So, Walmart, did you have any brain management problems today?
I did. I mean, straight out of the box, coming right off of vacation. My first trade of the week. First trade of the day. Took a 10-pip loss. And I think it was actually 9.2 or 9.3, something like that. It was sort of like, man, I cannot believe this first trade out of the box. And so what happened was that I kind of modified my trade management a little bit, and the idea was, okay, I need to go and make those 10 pips up, and because I modified it, I could have easily, if I stuck to my 10-5-1 plan, I could have very easily picked up 5 pips, been break even, but instead, because I modified it and wanted to get back to where I needed to get to, it took me I'm counting them right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 3 trades to get back even, but now I'm into my 6th trade right now, and now I've almost made core. I'm at plus 8.4. But the thing is, if I would have stuck to my plan, just went and traded 10-5-1, what would have happened was it would have taken me only 2 trades to get back even, and not only that, I would have been at this point in time probably plus 15, plus 20, something like that. But that's what happens, and I don't have a regret of changing it as much as I wish I would. I guess you can call it some regret, because if I had done that, it would have been in a much better position. But at the same time, I think when you trade, sometimes you're trading in the moment. And I think TR, we talk about that a lot of times. Why did we make that decision? Because we are trading in the moment. We're trading what we see at that moment in time, and because I'm unfortunately looking back at the past and not looking at what's on the chart, it sometimes gets a little confused. And we get ourselves into a little bit, I don't want to say trouble, because obviously I'm on the plus side, so I really didn't get into trouble as much as I didn't take all the opportunities I could have taken.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we talked about money management, and in fact, before we put this call live, we were talking, and I was saying how we could maybe start using the percentiles for exits, and then I was saying, maybe we're getting a little too cute, because if we stick with what we know, we're making money, and it's not that we're being greedy. It's just Walmal and I are both, scientific, analytical, logical type guys who want to, find the optimum solution. We just drive ourselves crazy, because after every trade, we start thinking how we can make it better. But as Walmal, we said, it's not any one trade. It's, when you take the bulk of the trades, what are you doing?
That's exactly right. It's the type of thing where I could have gotten myself into a real mess. First day back and been down minus 10 pips. And psychologically, that could be pretty devastating on not your account necessarily, but your psyche, how you think through the process and everything. But you can't do that. You got to remember, it's not about the one trade you took that went against you. It's also, the other problem that you run into is it's not about the one trade that you got into that you may have gotten 20 or 30 pips. How many stories are there out there of people go out there and they make a trade and they win $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on one trade, and then very next day they go and lose twice as much. because they think they're invincible or something. It's not about that. It's not about that one trade you're in. It's everything about, what is the bulk of everything? What at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, where are you? That's what matters. And in fact, I was in a trade before, and I'm sitting there, come on, get up there. I was long on a trade, and TRO goes and says to me, hey, you're living by the tick. And I said, you're right, I'm living by the tick. I shouldn't be. I got my stop loss in place. I should just, I've got my plan in place. My EA that I have will go and get me out when I'm supposed to get out. My 1051 is already programmed into it. Literally, I should just get up and walk away, but, I can't do that. There's real money on the line, but I should.
Yeah, that's, part of that money management, the plan is you have to stick to it, because we were talking and I was saying, I was in a trade and I was up 3, maybe 4 pips, and Walmal punched out, and I moved my break even or moved my stop to break even +1. And of course it came down, wiggled me out, and then ran up another 9 or 10 pips. But I wasn't really mad. I said, because if I do that 10 times a day, 10 times 1 still 10 pips. But it's just one of those things where that's when I started thinking about, well, how can I fine tune when to move to stop the break even +1? And we were saying maybe instead of using pips, we look at the percentile. So it's something we might pursue, but we're going to be careful and try not to get too cute.
Yeah, you can sit there and get so cute that you cute yourself to death.
Yeah. And so I see traders here on the weekly chart. We've got one. The Euro USD still hasn't filled the gap. The pound is up 16 pips over the weekly open. Let's see. We are putting in the first day of the week range right here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green days in a row on the pound. We broke out of that the monthly inside bar that occurred 3 months ago, but now we're 14 pips below the 26.47 mark. On the day, we've got a range of 75, and we've got 5 pairs over 100 with the franc yen at the 233. And once again, I don't know what happened there, but I'm wondering if it was a fat finger trade or if that was just legitimate move on the franc yen. But I don't see any other franc pairs with any moves or yen pairs, so something seems to be weird there. On the let's see, on the buy zone, you can see prices crisscrossed through the buy zone a couple times. And we've already taken out that daily pivot. And green rats, there's a nice move off of that rat zone. And Walmal, we were kind of looking at it. We saw the green rat, we saw the holo, and everything was pointing long, but we were kind of looking at all those wicks thinking, if this thing breaks down, it could really drop down to 25.70. But by trading what we see, we've been long this hour, and I think the last hour too, right? And we were making money by trading what we see, not what we think, which is really important.
That's the important thing, because you got to trade with where is the market going. The biggest thing is, let's be honest about what we're doing here. We're basically scalp trading. That's what we're doing. And to be successful in scalp trading, you got to be trading in the direction that the market is currently trading in. I went long. I'm actually in a trade right now where I went long at 30. Okay. That's the reason why I'm still in that trade is just because the market is doing that. The market went up, and it was funny because I actually got out and got 2 pips, and I went back in when it crossed over the 30 a second time. That's what I'm doing. I'm trading with what the market is giving me. So right now I'm up 6 pips. My stop loss, I've moved it to +1, and now I've got my hands off. I got my hands off the rudder right now. It's either going to hit. Right now, what's going to happen is it's either going to go and hit 10, okay, and I'm going to get out at 10, or it's going to go back and it's going to get me out at 1. Would I prefer it to hit 10, or would I even prefer to even taking the 7 pips right now? Yup. But the thing is, that's just not what my plan is. I got to trade with what my plan is.
Right. And so we still have that weekly pivot that hasn't been filled at 125.84. And you can see here on the daily pivot chart, we took out that pivot. But when we switch over to the weekly, you can see we got close, but we missed it by 6 pips so far. On the wick zone, on this 1 hour chart, you can see all these wicks down here that were in the lower wick zone. And that's when we were thinking about shorting. But you see here at 26.05, you know what, Walmal, we didn't even notice that when we were trading, that we were leaving that lower wick zone. Now we're in the upper wick zone, so we'll see what happens.
I wasn't looking at that at all.
Yeah. And now this is one of the screens that I use when I trade. In fact, you'll notice that the buttons are gone. And the reason the buttons are gone is so I don't mess around with flipping back and forth and looking at a bunch of stuff. It's to cut down the distraction and to turn off that side of my brain or that part of my brain where I keep thinking about, oh, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that. And so I've got the smart ranges, 3 instances, one for D1, one for H4, and one for H1, where I can see where things are. So right now, 22 pip range on H1, 67 percentile. That means 67 times the 67 ranges in the last 100 bars were at 22 pips or less. On the H4, you can see we're at 36. And if you look at the last 4 H4s, 3 of them were less than 30. We had that big 69 2 H4 bars ago. And then on a daily, we're only at 75, which is at 10%. And the colors here, the light color means I call that the blue sky. So if this is 80 or more, I think is where I have it set, threshold, it'll be light blue. And if it's under 20, then it's deep blue, like the deep blue sea. So that's what those colors. Otherwise, it just shows you the color of the bar. So this bar was red, this bar was green. And right now, we've got the Walmal lines, the sweet spots. I've got the smart rat, what I call here, where we've got high minus close, 29% tile, close minus low, 49% tile. So I know when this is either at when either of these are at 20, like down here or up here, that's when I know I'm in the rat zone. And then the simple price action, going with the H1 candle color at the line. Now, a few hours ago, this sucker was range bound, and you said it looked like a shoe, Walmal.
I did. Yeah.
But you see all these wicks, that was just buyers pushing back, and finally, they won out. And this long bar here, we call this a return bar because we're looking for price to return to the open, because more times than not it does. But what we were looking at earlier, I said, Walmal, look, squeeze down your H1 chart and look down here. There's a return bar. It has to drop below 25.50. So we got this return bar competing with this one, because you see this long one here, it came back and covered that open. So anytime you see these big bars, some people call them Momo bars, but I call them return bars. So you look for price to return to that level. So what do you think, Walmal?
I have no idea what it's going to do. I really don't. But but the only thing I can go and do is just, like I've said all along, you trade with the statistics. You trade based on what you're seeing. Right now, what I'm seeing on the pound is that it's coming up to that 40 line. It's having some trouble to get to it. If it breaks, I think it's going to take off. But I don't know if it's going to break it or not. It could very well just, go and turn around and spin around and just drop 20 pips right now. Likelihood of that, I think, is pretty small. But it could do that.
Yeah.
But, and the thing is, I'm sitting here right now in my trade, and I'm still up like 7 pips. I'm hoping it hits the 40, because if that happens, my stop loss is going to get moved to +5. So then I'm just guaranteed a plus 5. And that's the important thing, you know, just managing the money and just hoping for the, you know, hoping for the best, because that's really what you're doing is you're hoping. You know, you don't know.
The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. So, fellow traders, remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks.